And to help me introduce this topic and talk about it, I got a special guest host, Mr. Stalcup. So again, today we're talking all about the router. A router is one of the most versatile tools that can be used to do all kinds of things. In our classroom, and what we're going to display, we're going to do two basic functions that you guys will be using in class when we get back to in-person. And one thing is just a round over bit. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you what that looks like. But so round over bit, your board has a square edge, and you get splinters, you can cut your fingers on that kind of thing. So when you make furniture, you want to round it over and just give it a nice little smooth edge.
All right, so when I was talking about the round over bit, I'll scroll this down so you can see it. If you look right here, see how it has that profile, this rounded curve? And so that's what you ride along the edge, and that just puts that nice round over on your corner of your board so that it makes it a nice smooth transition. There's not a sharp corner. Here, right, this is what you set the base plate here flush to, this little corner right there. If you wanted to, you could do this and it will create a different profile. It will cut here, but if you just want to smooth the round over, you go right to this little corner. When I talk about the ball bearing that rides along the edge, that's this. And so this is just a wheel that spins. Think of a fidget spinner. And so this just rides along the edge of your board, and so it guides it. And so that way you don't have to worry about digging into your material. It'll just ride right along the edge, putting that nice little round over on it.
And so that's the first bit we have on here. And so how routers work, this one's battery powered. This is a Milwaukee battery powered. And so you plug in your battery, and it has very few dials and whistles. It's a very simple model, which is awesome. Sometimes they make them really complicated. I like this one because how easy it is. So you got your on-off switch. You can set your speed. For the most part, you're just going to leave it at full throttle. And so this is how you adjust your depth. And so when you adjust your depth, you can loosen it. So this is macro. You can slide it up and down. Real easy this way, back and forth. When you get it locked in, all you do is you flip this over and you're good to go. So when we set it, you can see this round over. We want the plate of it, this is called the base plate. We want the plate to be right flush to that round over. Right, maybe a little bit extra, because you can always sand a little bit and you'll never know. So right there on the edge.
To adjust the depth on these Milwaukee routers, it's real simple. All you got to do is you loosen this, and then you can crank this lever. You can go down or up, and again, I'll do it. We want to set this base plate right on the edge of that round over. Just like that. And then all you got to do, click her in place, and now you are good to go.
So you start it, this one has a ball bearing. So this is going to ride right along the edge. You don't have to worry about going too deep or anything. It's going to ride right on the edge. And so when you do a router, the danger zone is obviously the tooth. So if you don't put your hands in the hole, you're safe. This one's not going to get you. All right. So you turn it on, and you put the base all the way. So before we get too much further, I remember myself, I gotta do safety first. So safety glasses on, I have a pair for you. I'm gonna let you go ahead and give it a try. All right? And so when you use a router, one direction is gonna wanna pull away from the piece, one direction is gonna wanna help guide you, and it's hard to remember which one, so I usually just go, if it feels like it's fighting me, I know that's the wrong direction, so go the easier way. So you'll feel as you go. So go ahead and just turn it on. Hold on, it's slowly working over the workpiece there. And just like that, you go from a sharp corner to a nice smooth round over. You look at that, you don't even have to sand it.
That's nice, I like that.
All right, so now we're going to change out the bit, because we're going to use one of these on your basic tools to round over edges, and then also when we do framing, you can use a router to cut out a window. Now this is a pretty new method, but we're going to see why it's so much better. So before you change the bit, you always want to unplug your power source, unplug it, or take out the battery.
To change your bit, all you have to do is hit this red button, and then you can spin it, and it locks it in place, and you just take your wrench, click it on that nut, and you twist it. Once you loosen it with your finger, this one has like a double catch, it seems. There it is. Once you get it loose, you just slide it out, and to put it back in, it's the same process. This hole right here, click it in, hold that red button in, get it where it's tight with your finger, then use the wrench. You don't have to kill it, but make sure you get it pretty tight. And there you go.
And so this is what we're going to use next is called a templating bit. And so a templating bit, again, has a ball bearing guide, and so you don't have to worry about it going all over. It's going to follow the edge of the wood. We're going to use that to cut out a hole as if this board had a window in it. So we're going to see that next.
So this templating bit we use to router out the window, or you can use it on different things. But so what happens is, again, it has this ball bearing. It'll spin along the edge. And if you look, the cutting edge is perfectly flush with the ball bearing. So basically what happens is it's going to smooth everything. Whatever this is touching, it's going to take whatever the surface is above that, is going to make it flush to this ball bearing. So if you ride along the edge with this, it's trimming that material. And so as you trim your window out, this is riding on the framing, and so then this just cuts through your plywood. And that's how a templating bit works.
So go ahead, try to put that thing in there. Usually I like to leave just a little bit of gap there on the thing, just so it's not all tight. And then leave it that way. Alright, now we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and set this bit. This is about a 1/2 inch material, so we want to make sure we got that much cutting action happening below the ball bearing. And if it's a little bit extra, that's not a problem. Alright. Go ahead and slap the battery back in and it just clicks in. Now, it's a real life situation. This is a mini framed wall. And let's say right here in the middle, you have a window. You want to cut it out. Old way, you can take a chalk line, measure, snap it out, take your circular saw. It takes a lot of time. Next newer way, you take a sawzall, plunge it in and cut it. But a sawzall, you can damage the other wood around it. And again, it takes time. So what I'm going to get you to do, the window's right here in the middle. Take the claw of the hammer, and just snap the hole right in the middle. Alright, one more so you get the whole bit in there. Alright, now we got a hole because we know general vicinity there's a window right here. So you're going to take your router, put it in. Now you're going to start and just hang on because once it catches an edge it might want to run on you a little bit. So I'm just going to go till you find the net and just work your way around. was here before.
No.
Before I gave it to you. So without knowing anything, just with that template bit, he could find the window and trace it out. And as you can see, it leaves you with the perfect opening. So now when you go to install your window, say you're golfing, you broke a window, you really replace it, right? You can take out the window pane because you have a nice, easy framed opening right here. See how easy that is?
Yes.
That's the basic uses we're going to use for a router. So basic safety things and other tips you can do. So you have a base plate here, right? And so something you want to make sure you always do is keep that perfectly flat to your surface. Because if you tilt it, it's going to mess up your work surface. So we're doing the round over bit, it's not going to work right if you tilt it off to the side. So you always want to make sure it's staying nice and flat. And then basically you want to keep your fingers away from the business end, where it's the sharp edge. Don't touch that. Just keep it over here and you're good to go. And you'll stay nice and safe. There's all kinds of attachments, all kinds of different features you can add to one of these. We have a router table that maybe we'll use eventually. All kinds of different things to do all kinds of different stuff. But routers are awesome, they're useful, and you use them all kinds of different jigs and things like that. All right, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you Mr. Stalcup for helping us out, learn all about the router. As you can see, for the things we're using it for, it makes a harder job really easy. And it's pretty safe again, keep your fingers out of the danger zones. And when you're working on it, unplug the battery and you'll be safe and sound. Your fingers will all stay intact. So tune in next time for our next episode of Tool Time!